On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. A lot is going on in the world right now, and it's funny is the deep state's truly starting to show their hands. Truly showing their hands. Now, some major things that are happening. Obviously, we've got a lot of the people on the left that are coming out and outwardly showing, one, that they absolutely despise anybody that disagrees with them, and then will conveniently lump them in the right or anything like that. But a lot of these ultra-left people don't even like people in the middle, don't even like people in their own party that tend to favor the middle ground more. They really want to make major drastic changes, and anybody that doesn't agree with that's obviously a bad person. Trump's going to be doing his rally soon, and you can bet that they're going to make every single effort. Be watching the news, pay attention to what's going on. They are going to make every effort to make his rally impossible. Watch. Any number of ways. Maybe the COVID pandemic spreads. Maybe all of a sudden we start seeing outbreak numbers in the area where they're supposed to have this rally. Any number of things are going to come out. Maybe violence. Maybe some sort of horrible event occurs there, which then causes a riot. Again, be on the lookout. They're going to do everything they can to keep Trump from speaking in front of people. One, because of what that can do and all that. But the other side of it, and this is what they hate, they don't want people on the left to actually see how many people on the right support Trump. Back in 2016, this picture's awesome. The silent majority was reasonably small, but underneath the surface was still quite large. But that has grown, especially as these riots have occurred, what's happened in Seattle, what's happened in Minneapolis, all these Democrat-controlled areas, all these left-controlled areas. Anybody that was straddling the center or already kind of on the right and they're leaning has realized how extreme times have become, how hard the left is pushing right now, or the deep state. I really prefer calling it the deep state than the left because I know a lot of people on the left that have good intentions just don't realize how badly their party has been taken over. So hopefully they wake up. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But the silent majority is vastly larger now. It's amazing how many people I've been able to feel my way to, just locally even. This pandemic's helped bring actually my neighborhood closer together. We never talk to each other. Now all of a sudden I'm like friends with a bunch of my neighbors. It's really weird. But this has allowed me to sort of approach people, bring up questions about things, and you start to quickly get a feel that, yeah, they're a lot more open than people that instantly go, this is all Trump's fault. And just like the first thing they say, you're like, okay, we're not going to have any conversations of significance because you're nuts. Everything's projected. Now, that's one key thing that keeps happening, and to me, is one of the reasons why I'm quite sure I'm on the right side of this as far as history is concerned, because I'm not trying to limit people. I'm not trying to hurt people. I'm not trying to take away people's abilities to talk. Even people on the left that I strongly disagree with, I don't want to try to shut them down. I have no desire to do that, not even a little. I love hearing them talk about their crazy stuff. Everybody should get free everything. Come in here from other countries, any place you want. We'll give you whatever. Just take whatever you want. Just go into random houses. That's how we roll here in America. No, it's not like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of crazy talk coming out, but shoot, let them talk. It's fine. No big deal. So, again, things are changing. Be on the lookout because, again, this is all ramping up for the election. All this pandemic stuff was to help keep people inside, keep people from rallies, keep Biden from having to go out in public and talk to people and show how stupid he really, or how degenerate he really is, to keep him from having to debate Trump. Can you imagine the first debate, the only debate that's going to happen, if there ever is one, between Biden and Trump? It's going to be embarrassing for Biden. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. There is so much information against him that he's a conspiracy, that he's tied up in these conspiracies, the Ukraine stuff, there's all the stuff they found out about the Obama, the unmasking that Biden even asked about. Again, there's gobs of evidence against him. It's not looking good. So again, just trying to point out here in Post 4475, which is where we left off, that there's a lot more people that support this than they realize for sure. And probably more than you realize. This majority is actually a lot larger. And what's difficult right now is we've got these people on the left, the ultra left, that are in these echo chambers, as Twitter and these other places, Reddit and all this stuff, where they're in these echo chambers and they say crazy stuff and everyone's like, yeah, all around them. And it's like, okay, all right, this is what everybody thinks. Everybody agrees with me. No, actually, surprisingly not. Most people don't agree with you. And I'm going to bet that we're going to find out in November, not only is popular vote going to go to Trump, probably, but two, he's going to get the Electoral College again, for sure, like hands down. And that's going to be the thing that's going to make it really hard for the left. They're going to then claim that we stole the election. That's obviously going to happen because it is going to be a landslide. There is going to be a majority of people, and it is not going to happen vote by mail. That I can assure you. They've already got the plan in place. They're just waiting for the left to show their hand. That's all they're trying to do. Now, this huge slide, but this is actually really important. So he's referencing back to this post 940, which is very, very cool, right? The flag. A lot of people need to understand that there's not a huge difference between the Nazi movement of the 30s in Hitler and what this Antifa or anti-fascist group is doing nowadays. And unfortunately, the ultra-left is very much a part of this group. And a lot of them, like I said, even some of my family members, I don't think they realize it's a lot of that herd mentality. And since they're in the echo chamber and they think everybody's thinking this way, it blows their mind that nobody could. Like me and my little brother are the only two in the family that really kind of come at this from the angle we do. My little brother's hardcore right. I'm kind of more like I hate both sides kind of because I don't like politics. I want the world, I want us to be free, like more from that angle. But I definitely, the left right now is trying everything in their power to destroy the Constitution, which I know and love, to destroy this country, which I love and know as well. My grandparents fought for the freedoms we have. I love this country. I tear up when the national anthem is played. I even take my hat off when I'm at home. I love this country. So it's very different from a lot of people out there. Now, this is super cool. They're talking about the old playbook. Super cool in the sense of it's very evident. But they talked about how Hitler rose to power. And I even did a video recently really kind of talking about how it's not just the fact that this guy was able to stand in front of people and get them to go, yeah, you're the guy. But it was the fact also that it took years and millions to die before the rest of the world said, I think we should do something about this dude. This guy's a bad guy. Now, so that's Hitler. That's the direction he went, trying to find the pure race and all that. Well, we're at this new place now where they're trying to hide history. They're trying to change history. They're trying to take control. And oddly, they're using the same tactics. Now, they point out one thing here. There's two, from this first article, there's two quotes I found that I thought were interesting. Oddly, this was one of them. I was reading through it. I'm like, oh, that's important. And then I'm like, oh, well, here they are prefacing that. But the Associated Press news agency entered a formal cooperation with the Hitler regime in the 1930s, supplying American newspapers with material directly produced and selected by the Nazi propaganda ministry. Archive material unearthed by a German historian has revealed. To that extent, it is fair to say that these pictures played their part in disguising the true character of the war led by the Germans. How did Hitler gain power? What events created population defiance, extremism, and the insurrection? Now, this is a big thing that's playing out here, right? So obviously we've got the quote they share with us. I've got another one that's highlighted here. The New York-based agency ceded control of its output by signing up to the so-called, I can't say that, promising not to publish any material calculated to weaken the strength of the Reich abroad or at home. This is what the American press, the Associated Press, AP, did in Germany. Now, the other thing that's kind of funny, the Bush's granddaddy Bush, Bush Sr., his dad, Prescott Bush, he financed both sides of the war. He financed Germany, he financed America. These people were trying to do some very interesting stuff, trying to genetically remove people from the race, right? Trying to get rid of Jews, for an example. It's one thing they seem to be against. Prescott Bush funding both sides of the war. Once the war ended, what did we do? Paperclip, right? Operation Paperclip. We took all the German scientists, or at least a lot of them. Some of them went to Russia, a bunch of them came here. And then all of a sudden we started building our rockets. We brought our other V2s over and all that stuff. And all of a sudden now we've got all these evil scientists working in the United States and Russia. Continuing a lot of crazy, crazy stuff. So that was one way. You control the press. It's one of the key things you do when you try to keep people from learning the truth is you control the press, the propaganda machine, aka mainstream media. How did Hitler gain power? He helped by not letting people know what's actually going on. Now, this next thing, global economic depression, reparations, huge rise in unemployment. Because of this, Germans began to lose faith in democracy and look to extreme parties on both the left, the communist, and the right, the Nazis, for a quick and simple solution. When people are unemployed, hungry, and desperate, as millions were in Germany between 1930 and 1933, they often turn to extreme political parties offering simple solutions to their problems, right? Because I've got a big problem, I need a simple solution. I don't have time to work through this on any sort of real timelines. I think show of force is what is needed now. So that's basically what they're saying. Between 1930 and 33, support for the extreme right-wing Nazis and the extreme left-wing communists soared. So now we've got all these interesting parallels. MSDNC peaceful protests, MSDNC propaganda campaign, MSDNC information warfare campaign, MSDNC POTUS must be removed. Push years, but we've only got one left now, right? 1 year left, half a year really. And they're still trying to get him out of office. Kind of funny how these things play out in our lives. Now, some of the things they reference up here in this BBC article, it's kind of interesting, it's super interesting. One, so reasons for growth in the support for the Nazi Party. This is back in 1928. It's kind of what Hitler did to really start to make a difference. Why do I feel like this isn't the first page? It should be. All right, so we got wealthy businessmen were frightened to increase support for the communists, so they began to finance Hitler. Okay, it's kind of similar, I think, to what's going on in up in San Francisco and all that, right? Where all the tech businesses are. We got the middle class. It's alarmed by the failure of the democracy. They decided that the country needed a strong government, started giving votes to Hitler. Nationalists, they blamed the legacy on the Treaty of Versailles and reparations for causing depression. So they lent their support to the Nazis. Again, they started creating an enemy. Once you put a face on an enemy, right, that's how you do it. That's standard 101 operations. You create an enemy in propaganda. Once you've got a face of an enemy, which Orange Man bad, right? They've done a good job there. Once you create that, then all of a sudden you start to garner support for it. So again, that's the direction they were going. So one of the things that's interesting, the essay, that's why. I'm on page 2. I was like, this is not page 1. This is the part I really wanted to point out. So one of the things that really started moving towards this, U.S. calls in loans. Okay, that was one of the things that really got Germany in a bad place. Our economy was bad because of the Depression, so we basically said, hey, look, anybody that owes us money, you got to pay us now. German industry loses finance, lowers production, and lays off workers. So again, that's the standard thing. When the economy gets hurt, you start to pull back because that's all you can do because you can't afford to keep the big wheels turning. So you got to pull it back a little bit. As that happens, more people lose money, more jobs get lost, which causes a larger pullback, and it starts to cycle. So again, industry loses more money, lowers production further, lays off more workers, people spend less money, prices drop, bam, depression. It's what they were trying to do with the COVID virus. Keep us locked up inside, shut down businesses, get people angry at each other, right? All these things. And then, again, the extreme left or the deep state, it's okay to go out and protest. It's okay to go out and riot. That's okay. But if you want to have a riot and wear a rally and wear a face mask and then, have thousands of people show up, well, that's not okay. I mean, if it's for Trump. Now, if it's for Biden or someone else, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, there's an obvious double standard, I think, that a lot of people are starting to realize. Now, some of the things that also happened. Presidential election, Hitler came to his second Hindenburg. He won 53% of the votes. This whole thing was about how he basically started attacking this Hindenburg guy, which is very ironic that the Hindenburg crash, that's his last name. You think about all the funny that happens with that. Again, it just kind of goes into all the different things that Hitler did to slowly gain more and more power, I should say, and eventually completely had control. Now, some significant things of note. There was a fire on this Reichstag, I guess. The building was set on fire. A Dutch communist, Van der Lubbe, was caught red-handed. So again, we've got planted people that are pretending to do things to push a certain side. And because of that, you get more support for the other side. So we get all these violent things, and they try to blame it on the right somehow. Right? And then because of that, then it becomes okay for all the counter protests. It becomes okay to put that label on Trump, that it's Trump's fault that there's looting and rioting in Minneapolis or New York or like Atlanta, all the places where it's happening. It's not Trump's fault. He's not the mayor. He's not the governor. And he's intentionally done it that way. So he's helping. The Enabling Act, which happened. This was with communist deputies banned and the SA intimidating all the remaining non-Nazi deputies. The Reichstag voted by the required 2/3 majority to give Hitler the rights to make laws without the Reichstag's approval for 4 years. Did this through basically intimidation. Very similar to what's happening today. If you're on the right and you open your mouth, the herd starts attacking you. So you're not allowed to do that. They're trying to silence the people. Political parties were banned. Only the Nazi Party was allowed to exist. You're going to see here in just a moment, we've got an individual that's actually trying to label all conservatives as bad. Anybody on the right is bad, but obviously anyone on the left is okay. But anyone on the right, we should shut down, tape their mouths shut, put them in re-education camps, blah, blah, blah. What is wrong with the thought process when you are so righteous in your own way of thinking that you feel like you should be able to push your views onto others, force what you believe onto others? How arrogant are you? Seriously, that's very interesting to me. Night of the Long Knives. Many members of the SA, included the leader, were demanding that the Nazi Party carry out the socialist agenda and that the SA take over the army. Same thing's happening right now, pushing the riots, the thing in Seattle. There's this push to stand up against man. But the problem is it's actually taking down everything that makes an organized society work. And it's intentionally doing that. So through all that process, Hitler finally at one point enacted himself as the Fuhrer. When Hindenburg died, Hitler declared himself jointly president, chancellor, and head of the army. Members of the armed forces had to swear a personal oath of allegiance, not to Germany, but to Hitler. Now, what's really funny with the whole process that's really heavily started back in 9/11 and has slowly progressed forward, and Obama really just started putting the final nails in the coffin, way too much power has been granted to the president. Way too much power. Through executive order and everything else, they are allowed to do things that they should not be able to do. Congress is there to kind of keep the president from doing too much. The president's kind of there to keep Congress from doing too much. And then, of course, the judicial is there to make sure that both sides play together properly. These things have been challenged greatly. Now, one thing that's interesting is Trump does have a great deal of authority right now that he's not yet using. And they keep trying to push him in one direction where he can act like a dictator. He's not doing it. But at the same time, he's definitely using some of these rights to bring back some of our manufacturing, to make changes in our economy, to make changes in regulations that we have, to make changes in how bloated our government is. He's using these powers for a lot of things. So he's fighting this effort, but at the same time, you can see how they're painting him as a Hitler. They're trying to make him seem like that, when in reality, again, it's that whole standard. They keep pointing their fingers out and noticing that there's three pointing back at him. So again, the question, was this meant to create a global economic depression, this whole pandemic? Were the Democratic parties, this BLM race push reparations, again, trying to push the same exact playbook that they used back in 1932, right? So insurrection, riots, city takeover, remove police to weaken, property destruction, assault, murder, release of dem governors back into the streets. We got one guy in New York that's famous right now. Just punched some old lady, some 92-year-old lady that's now afraid to walk on the streets, duh, because some guy walks by, and the video, it's plain as day, just walks by and he goes, psh, and just punches her, hits her right in the head. She falls down and hits a fire hydrant, and horrible, horrible. Guy's been arrested 104 times. Guess where he was on the video? Out on the street. Yeah, out on the street. Because, you don't want to keep someone like that locked up. No, he's a rabble rouser. We need more of them in the world. Huh? No. So again, the whole point is we have to stop this plan for them. The only way to do that is through the vote, really, right? We've got to make sure we fix this in November. And I mean, again, I've said it before, zip the lips, right? Like, don't just be out there screaming at people. It's not worth all the aggravation. Be the part of the iceberg that's underwater. That's fine. Make sure that you're talking to the other underwater members if you can. Learn how to find each other. Learn how to talk to each other. Open up communications. Try to figure out ways. Find some of your friends that are more in the center as means of trying to get conversations started. But we've got to work together. Understanding that the past helps us understand the present. It's very much what's going on. So Robbie Starbuck, who did a pretty cool tweet about this Palmer report, these disturbing tweets are sadly not a tiny fringe view of the left anymore. He just said it aloud. Many don't want to coexist like their bumper stickers used to say, those coexist ones. Many really believe we are less than human and think we belong in re-education camps. Seriously. So this is from Robert, the Palmer report. You want to call him Robert Palmer. That's funny. It's time we acknowledge that conservatism isn't just some political view. It means you're the very bottom rung of society, dangerous and deranged. Some conservatives are trying to become better people. Great. But people who flaunt their conservatism are psychotic. People who promote the racist propaganda, hate speech on OANN are dangerous thugs. They have no place in respectable society. Mike Gundy cannot remain the OK State head coach, too influential of a position in society. Fire him unless he agrees to get extensive psychological help. Do you see where this is going? Too influential to have a conservative in there, but it's okay that we put someone in there that's crazy radical left. That's okay. But God forbid you represent sanity or somewhere in the middle where most of us are. You don't belong. So it's time that we acknowledge that conservatism isn't just some political view. It means you're the very bottom rung of society, dangerous and deranged. Trying to become better people, great. Where's he? And then he goes, we shouldn't be cold-hearted about this, but having a conservative as a police officer, for instance, isn't much different from having a KKK member as a police officer. Really? Really? It's just something that a civilized society can ever tolerate. Can't ever do that. Can't do that. Can't have people of the other political party, the two political parties. Remember what Hitler did? Banned the one political party? I'm not flipping you off and flip me off, right? So that's what they're doing. They're trying to remove the other political party. Now, it's stupid enough we only have two to begin with, but whatever. Let's get rid of that other one. Now there's just one political party. What party are you going to vote for? The one party, I guess? The only party that's there? Excellent choice. That's ridiculous. We should rehabilitate any conservatives who are willing to try. We should pay for them to undergo therapy and retraining so they can understand the world around them. But first, we must get them out of positions of influence because they're infringing on the rights of others, which would include, if you think about it, parents. Yeah, you're an influence on your children. We should also take that away. Think about it. Think about the directions this can go. This is a very dangerous proposition that some people just seem to think is okay. That's what blows my mind, that there's literally people that are so arrogant in their thinking that they believe they are so correct and righteous that they can force their views on others. Force their view on others. That is definitely not freedom. That's definitely not what America stands for. Definitely not what our Constitution's about. Certainly similar to what Nazi Germany was doing. Certainly similar to how Hitler took over. They like to call Trump the Hitler. But I don't think that's the case. Hitler was just another face of the deep state. And the deep state is doing the exact same playbook now. Wonder where they learned it from. Wonder where they learned it from back then. Post 4477, it's not what you know, but what you can prove. Now this is an interesting post, and I think it's meant to troll to a degree. Now, when I first read it, I was like, well, no, probably not, was my answer to all the questions. But then I realized, well, he's asking the questions because odds are the answer is yes. And we will have a little bit to demonstrate that, so hang with me. But question, can we prove it? Can we? I mean, think about it. Can we prove this? If we could prove it, a lot of people are like, why aren't you doing anything about it then? I think it's coming. We'll see. There's something interesting coming just as the next slide. Can we prove coordination? I don't know. One might wonder, right? Can we prove that they were coordinating, that they were actually working together, that they were potentially a number of people that were doing similar bad decisions at the exact same time? I'm giving a hint. Can we prove deliberation actions to include death count, or increased death count, to justify vote by mail, to get people to stay at home, to bail out states, right? That was a big thing they wanted. They wanted to get some of their hands on that economy, that money, so they could fix all like California state budget problems and New York state budget problems. But Trump didn't go for that. No can do. I can't go for that. No. Kill economy, kill P rallies, and increase unemployment, etc. Basically, ruin the economy. No president, no incumbent president ever, with the exception of Roosevelt, was able to win re-election with a crap economy. It's just a fact of matter, I guess, right? Guess where they're trying to be at. Now, again, remember, this is us now, 2020. They don't seem to realize it in their little echo chambers. They don't realize how big this iceberg really is. In fact, maybe it's more like a giant mountain underwater that just happens to be poking through. Like some would call that an island. But that being said. So, what's cool about this? Steve Scalise just sent letters to the Democratic governors of New York, New Jersey, California, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, demanding they explain why they ignored protocols and forced COVID-19 patients into nursing homes. Huh? Yeah, this is very cool. The Honorable Andrew M. Cuomo. Dear Governor Cuomo, just the first paragraph's rad. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has disproportionately affected the elderly, especially those living in nursing homes and other long-term care facilities. We write seeking information at a granular level about the science and information used to inform your decision to mandate nursing homes and long-term care facilities admit untested and contagious COVID-19 patients from hospitals. This decision likely contributed to thousands of elderly deaths in New York State. Thank you for your attention and prompt response to this important inquiry. Now, this came from a couple names that you might remember. Steve Scalise, obviously, Jim Jordan, Blaine Lukenmeyer, Jackie Warlorski, and Marky Green, MD. He's an MD. Again, they are getting to the bottom of this. There were 5 governors for sure that did the exact same declaration. We've shared it before in past posts. They had the same declaration that you had to take these patients. You couldn't question whether they were positive or not, and you had to properly treat them even if they had COVID, even though you didn't know that they had COVID, and you had to accept them and mix them in with the highest risk group of people. Yeah, that was a bad on top of bad on top of bad on top of bad. So now they're saying, look, you guys are very much at risk of being busted for making bad decisions that cost thousands of people's lives. We want to know what science you used to do that, to make that decision. Good luck finding science. It'll be very interesting to see what they show. This is super cool. I want to share this, but at the same time, I don't. It's a lot. It's just really cool. I didn't set up the sound properly to be able to play it, but this young lady, I'll put the link below, just gives an example of all the different contradictions that happen on the left. And there's countless amounts of them. So the link will be below. We're already getting long. I don't want to push this too much longer. Post 4479 here, exclusive President Donald Trump. I tried to catch that last night. I missed it, so I don't know. Whatever happened, I'm going to try to dig into that more and see what other information we can find. But it was on Hannity, so I like Hannity, don't get me wrong. I like Trump, but you put them together, neither one of them, they're just serving up softballs to each other, so whatever. That's cool. Post 4480, the Dems have tried every trick in the playbook, call me everything under the sun, but if I'm all those terrible things, how come I beat them so badly? 306 electoral votes to 223. Yeah, but he got popular vote by 3 million. Yeah, who gives a crap? Who gives a crap? That's why we have electoral college, because we don't want New York and California deciding the election. And that being said, he only had 3 million more votes. It was what, 63 million to 60 million? He still had 60 million votes. And on top of that, he had a huge majority of all the Passover flyover states. Yeah, guess what? The country supports him a hell lot more than they supported Hillary. Yeah, you got a lot of people in a couple cities, 5, 6 cities, that totally loved Hillary because we're propagandized and brainwashed. But the rest of the country, not so much. Even though you guys like to label all of us the crazies, I'd like to say you 63 million people, maybe you guys have a problem. The rest of us are fine with you having opinions. We're fine with you walking around and saying crazy stuff. You guys are the ones that have problems with us having a different opinion. We're the enemy. We're the bad ones. Really? Really? We don't want to give away our country to everybody. We don't want to hurt things. We want to see reform as well in police. Like, there's not one person that's come out in support of the cop that did what he did to George Floyd. Not one person has come out and said they support that cop. What? I mean, that's unanimous. Black, white, purple, green, brown, everything in between. Everybody's on the same page. Reform needs to change. Trump signed the bill that says no more chokeholds, which is a very militaristic tactic and extremely dangerous. So he banned that. Again, we're making progress. That's how you resolve things. You don't just try to inflame people and then get them to go burn down a city. It's not how you resolve things. They're showing their hands. That is the important thing. This iceberg, remember this. Keep this image in your mind. This is what's happening because of the way things are playing out. The mainstream media is pushing their propaganda and they make it sound like this is what everybody thinks. That's not true. Way more people are realizing what's going on. Way more people are seeing the contradiction. Way more people are taking the reins back from the deep state. This is our country. This is our planet. This is our life. Let's own it. Let's take it. Let's be it. And we shall change this world. The vote's coming up. Be aware of what's coming up, guys. And don't be suckered into some of this stupid stuff that they're trying to get the right to do. And I'm impressed. We've done really good thus far. So far, we've done really, really good. I want to see people continue to do that. And remember, these are Americans too. Well, at least the ones that are. They're Americans too. Let's be cool to that. Again, I keep remembering, most of my family is super hard on the left. And they think I'm a horrible person. You know what? I still love them. I'm still okay with them having different opinions. They think I'm nuts. They want to lock me up. Nah, it is what it is. But I love them. And I think that's what we need to do these days. Am I going to agree with the stuff they do? No. Am I going to jump on board? Do I go to businesses that force me to wear a mask? No. I'm actually even changing my workout company because the company, they're opening back up, but they're forcing me to get their app. They're forcing me to do all these. I'm like, I'm not doing all that. I'm not giving you all my personal information just so I can come and work out with you guys when I know there's a competition or competitor that I drive by every time I go to the gym. That won't make me do that. So guess what, Deep State? I'm not going to use your workout facility anymore. That's how that works. This is our chance to take back our world. Vote with our pocketbooks. And vote with our vote. This is our chance to take our planet back. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.